Hi, my name is Lynn McTaggart, and I want to talk to you today about how to become a spiritual activist. We can all take a leaf out of the book of Nipun Metta. Now, Metta was one of those Silicon Valley Turks on a six-figure income. He was a computer prodigy, and his life and his career was set. But it started to sicken him, watching the greed around him in one of the most affluent places in America, with one of the lowest levels of charitable giving. So he wanted to change the culture around him, and he decided to do it by experiments in generosity. One of those experiments was Wednesdays. He persuaded his mom to open her house to 50 strangers, new strangers, every week. She would make dinner for all of these people. They would then have discussions together, and everyone would have a turn at the mic. Metta invited people from all backgrounds, millionaires and prisoners, the homeless, the affluent. People all got together side by side. And a remarkable thing happened. There was nothing stolen from his mom's house ever. The only arguments that ever happened were who was going to do the dishes. People would spontaneously come with gifts. They would make shoe stands to hold shoes. They would bring other things. And Metta, for instance, one time had another experiment where he put up a bookshelf, filled it with self-help and inspirational books, and told everybody every Wednesday, take whatever books you want. Instead of that, people started bringing books, and the bookshelf became overflowing with gifts. Because when generosity is the currency, the game starts changing. And we've actually seen that in a scientific proving by Nicholas Christakis, a psychologist at Harvard University who studies social networks. He's found that if there are happy people in a social network, it spreads happiness, and there are more happy people than unhappy people, not because the happy people self-select happy people to be around, but because of the natural spread of happiness. The same thing happens with unhappy and sad feelings. Lonely people are more likely to have a collection of lonely friends, not because they self-select them, but because of the natural spread of loneliness. The same thing happens, though, with generosity, he found. He found that when, say, Peter does a generous thing for Paul, Paul is more likely to be generous to Sam, who's more likely to be generous to Robert, who's more likely to be generous to Vanessa. And so it goes on. Each time, each act of generosity spreads 3 degrees down a social network and creates a stampede of happiness and generosity. So my suggestion for you is not to give up the day job, but just to do something generous somewhere today and watch how it spreads. And that way you can change in your own little way the culture around you. I write about this and more in my book, The Bond, which is all about how we were meant to connect and not to be competitive individualists. And it also is a book and a primer about how to live according to the new science. And it's more relevant than ever in these divisive times. Thanks for listening. I'm Lynn McTaggart.